Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 16 millimeter film crew. I'm Cindy.
And I'm Dale.
This week we watched The Devil Wears Prada 2, written and directed by David Frankel. So Miranda Priestley struggles against Emily Charleston, her former assistant turned rival executive, as they compete for advertising revenue amid declining print media while Miranda nears retirement. This movie stars Meryl Streep, Anne Hathaway, Emily Blunt, and Stanley Tucci. So, Dale, tell us about your thoughts on this film.
It's just kind of apropos where we're doing this episode in the midst of the Met Gala, which is funny.
It's
Um,
Met Gala Monday.
but yeah, I don't know. I'm a fan of when you do sequels and it's about characters that enough time has passed. We can see where they've evolved and changed. But at its core, a lot of these characters really have not changed a lot, which is, very human. We change very incrementally, no matter how time goes on. Anne Hathaway's character, as much as she is a prolific writer writing serious articles, at the end of the day, her character is still very much a people pleaser and wants to please everybody at her own detriment. Um, we do see like, and for a while, for halfway through the movie, I thought Meryl Streep's character as a Miranda didn't really evolve. Like you thought at the end of the movie, her character changed than in the first one. And so going into this first second one, I was like, why did they reset her character? But and then it just goes shows that she's just really career driven. Like she did change as a person, but she's still really career minded, which I thought was good. Of course, Stanley Tucci's there playing Anne Hathaway's fairly godfather or fairly godmother throughout the movie. Like everybody loves Stanley Tucci. But yeah, I thought it was a good movie. I think it's more critical on the times we currently live in. Um, and more so, it's covering the same topic that the first one did, more so trying to get Andy or the audience to understand that it's not just like fashion as we know it. A lot of people, for a lot of people, this is art, and they're countering, of course, hedge funds and stuff buying out print media, putting writers out of their job, and journalists also now an AI billionaire who's buying the magazine, who's going to pivot the magazine to AI. Miranda's fight is saying, this is art, this matters. It might not matter to you in the way you think it does, but the human um creation, the human ingenuity of fashion. People might not view it as art, but it is. So I thought that was really, really timely to do.
I did enjoy this movie. I thought it was like fun. I wasn't like anticipating it hugely just because I did not think that this movie needed a sequel at all. I feel like the
Yeah.
first one was such a good film, a staple. Like it was my first Meryl Streep movie I ever watched because it came out in 2006. So I was like a kid and that was like, my first introduction to her. Like it does mean a lot to me as a person who loves movies, who loves Meryl Streep, Anne Hathaway, Emily Blunt, and Stanley Tucci. I love all those actors and I love fashion. I pay attention to it. So like that movie for me was like a big deal. And I feel like this movie was, something that felt like definitely was just kind of one of those things that people needed to like make money. It didn't really feel like a necessary continuation of the story. I feel like the story was pretty much contained and wrapped up during the first one. So, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna watch it because I'm invested. So I have to go see it. And I did have fun with it. I thought it was like funny in places. I thought it was decently written. There were
Mm.
some issues there, but I thought it was decently written for the most part. And I felt like it was well acted in places. I don't know. I don't think that this movie was any of these actors' best performances, which
Yeah.
is saying a lot because the first movie was like incredible performances all the way around.
Yeah.
So that's something. I think my biggest issue with this movie, even though it was like a fun time, like it's like go with your friends, go watch it, whatever. I think my biggest issue is that like the first movie is centered on Andy. It's Andy's experience. She's her our proxy like as we enter the world of fashion that like most people like don't really know about just because like that is that industry. Like they want to keep it exclusive. Like literally talking about the Met Gala, it costs like $10,000 or $100,000 just to get a ticket there. Like they don't want regular people to be involved in
Yeah.
this, um, which is why most people don't understand it. So Andy is kind of our guide through this world. She is a young person, freshly coming to New York, trying to figure out herself in her career. She's ambitious, but she doesn't really know who she is. So it's a coming of age tale more than anything else. And through her, you're seeing like, okay, this world of fashion, this world of art that she doesn't really get, she doesn't really take seriously, but she understands herself more through this job, through meeting Miranda and everyone else, and comes out the other side of it knowing more of who she is and more of what she wants, and like not being afraid of like being ambitious. We don't really get that in the second one, right? Because Andy, this is 20 years. So
Yeah.
Andy is, even though she is an adult and like she's an adult, so she kind of really knows pretty much like who she is and what she wants. So
Mhm.
it's not like we're even like looking at her through that perspective. We're not looking at anyone through we're not like, there's no one taking us on the journey. It's more just that these characters are kind of in service of telling ideas or explaining ideas about where basically all artistic industries are at this point,
Yeah.
which is where you have these billionaires coming in, taking over, and not valuing the art that's being made. So it kind of didn't feel like any character was particularly important. It was just like we need to explore how journalism is dying and how print media is dying and how the fashion industry is being corrupted. So like our characters are just vessels to get us through those ideas
Yeah.
rather than it being like a story about some like a person, one person specifically. And I just felt like I don't know. I mean, I guess my thing was I don't really know what story they could have told because like what because again it's like this the story didn't need a sequel, right? So it's like now we kind of have to figure out a way to tie all these people together again. Like why are they meeting again? Like what is the like crux of like these issues? Like I don't know, like they kind of had to like finesse a story, right? Because it's like that story was already completed. So I
Yeah.
guess this is the best thing they could have come up with under the circumstances. And I don't think it's a bad idea at all. I think that, yes, it's very important to kind of talk about these themes and to really kind of refocus, especially now. I mean, not only like the fact that Jeff Bezos is like funding the Met Gala, but that like the Paramount merger is like about to take over, like becoming a monopoly in Hollywood. Like there are real things that correlate to what the story is directly speaking to. And I think that it did come at a really good time. And I
Yeah.
think it's very timely. And I liked it. Actually, that was my favorite part of the story was them exploring these issues. I just feel like you could have swapped out anybody else and it would have basically told the same story. And I don't feel like if that was like a huge service to the characters who are like so iconic at this point, is maybe how I felt.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I feel like this story, like the first thing you said, the first one kind of has the characters moving through a story.
right.
This one, the characters exist in service to the story.
Yes.
Like you could honestly remove the backstory from Andy, like all these characters from the first one, put new characters in, and the story's still the same. Nothing really changes about it. You could change the setting. It's something a fashion magazine. It could be any other magazine. It could be any other modern day print media. Like you could set it in like a regular, like the New York Times newsroom or the AJC or any other print media. How they've adapted and pivot to print, not print to internet, and now AI hedge funds and tech bros are buying up the interest. You could have swapped, and the same story would have been told. Kind of thing. Um, yeah, and I feel like this story, like, and we've seen this a lot, like the most recent moves series that I think you can kind of see the people behind it wanted to tell a story, but it wouldn't get greenlit unless they attach it to an popular IP. First thing I think of is Mindy Kaling's Velma, which clearly was not really a Scooby Doo project, but the only way she get it greenlit is to attach Scooby Doo, a known IP, to this project, and it backfired massively. I feel like this movie in particular most likely had a very different wasn't using these characters, but the only way it could probably get greenlit was to kind of we have to attach it to a popular IP. and what's a popular IP we haven't touched in years that people still reference to this day. Well, Devil Wears Prada, so yeah. But yeah, I love the movie. I wouldn't say I love the movie. I enjoyed the movie. Love is really I cannot say I love this movie. I did think, of course, Justin Thoreau's kind of Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk character was funny. Very much. You can tell who the character is supposed to be in real life. He's supposed to be Musk. Lucy Liu's character is supposed to be Bezos' ex-wife. Very much, how she uses her money for philanthropy and stuff like that. Whereas Bezos, like, I'm just gonna take over everything and contribute to him. Also, the story of his, I guess, well, it's more Elon Musk. The story of his plastic surgery becoming more manly. Because if you look at Elon Musk a couple years ago, he ain't with Elon Musk now. He got gender affirming surgery. You know, if you know, you know, to look more manly. So I thought that was funny. They're hitting on that kind of thing. I wish Simone actually got more screen time, to be honest, because she's just there as not really as Miranda's right hand man. Anne Hathaway kind of takes not right hand man, but Anne Hathaway comes kind of essentially becomes her secretary. Like majority of scenes, it's the two of them, which would work if Anne Hathaway's character is once again her secretary. You know, but whenever they're together, Simone Ashley's character is off doing something else, and you only see her like 4 or 5 times throughout the movie, which I thought was discrediting. You think in all these scenes where Andy's busting her in her office, she'd be talking to her secretary about, I need to do X, Y, and Z, at least in the background or something. But no, she's not there. Which is just really disappointing because especially with the absence of uh people of color being promoted in fashion. I really wish, she was more prominently featured as a character as well. Same thing with Anne Hathaway's assistant, whose name is Chin Chow, which is really J.K. Rowling-esque naming structure. Is really culturally on the nose, a little too much. Which we learn at the end of the movie is very much a mirror of Anne Hathaway. She's like, I'm highly educated. I don't really like fashion. I'm here because it's a job. And then they talk about, oh, I found this and I thrifted this wardrobe. Same thing. Anne Hathaway's reintroduced into this world. She's, oh, I thrifted this jacket for like $7, kind of thing. I wish we got to spend more time with her in a way as well. But yeah, yeah, it's a good continuation of it. I don't think it hits the peaks the first one did though.
Yeah, and you speaking about the Asian representation in this movie, that was a kind of a big controversy right before this movie came out, was that people, or especially Asians, were saying that that character, specifically Anne Hathaway's assistant, was not a good representation of their community
Yeah,
because it was she was falling into a stereotype of like the smart Asian,
yeah,
basically. And I will say that like I agree. Like I feel like she wasn't. The issue with that is like if they wanted to do that, they could have subverted it in some way. But the only way you would be able to do that is to give the person more screen time, and they were not going to do that. There's a billion things happening in this movie. This movie is going by so quick, and they stuff so much in it that like no one really. It honestly feels like no one really gets to be fleshed out, to be honest, except for like maybe Meryl Streep.
hmm
So like they underutilize Simone Ashley. They underutilize Lucy Liu too. I'm like, you got Lucy Liu in the movie. Like, come on, we're not doing anything with her really. Like they
yeah,
like her whole situation where it's like she was this elusive celebrity that they were like wanting to get the interview from. I'm like, okay, great. Like, let's go into that. And they spend like maybe 2 minutes on it. They talk to her for like 2 seconds. She's on the cover, and then that's it. We don't see her again until the end of the movie. It's just like very like, okay, so we didn't want to use any of our Asian actors, really. Like, we were just like, just plop them in there. We're moving on. Like, we don't care. And it's just like, I feel like there is something that makes it feel worse when you have representation like people of color in your movie but you don't really do anything with them. To
yeah.
me it's like worse than just not having them at all, because it's like, well, then what was the point of including them if you weren't going to, you were just trying to, you wanted to have them. Because I think the first Devil Wears Prada is problematic in so many different ways, especially because it was made in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And I feel like they definitely tried to overcorrect when it
Yeah.
came to this movie in the writing and some of the characters who are presented. But my thing is like they don't even really use Nigel, like Stanley Tucci's character, the way that I feel like he should have been used, which is
Mhm.
that the whole idea was that like okay, he got snubbed for this job because Miranda snubbed him and gave his job to someone else. He's still at Runway, but now he maybe has an opportunity to like step up, and they don't really do anything with him. Like he gives a speech, but then
That's
like
it. He
that's
falls back
it.
into the
He
same
falls right
role.
back into his role. And it's
Like,
like,
yeah,
what?
I feel like if they were going to like make like, and it's clear like they're joined at the hip. They're honestly both chief editor because he's there going over articles and he's going over pictures. He's there picking out the photos they're running as well alongside with it. And I feel like at the end, if they were going to actually promote her to like in charge of their global stuff, you know, his character would become the editor in chief. But then Anne
Right.
Hathaway's character was like, nope, looks like it's me and you together again forever. You as Miranda's second command and me as, the editorial chief. And she's, I was like, okay. Because you think head of global, like they're all, and that's why I hate the ending shot. Because head of global, like she's still on the editorial floor, like she should still be on another floor, and yeah,
Yeah. Basically, like, and that's my whole other thing. I guess I'll get into it now, which is like how this movie tries to mirror what actually is going on at Vogue,
yeah,
because that's basically what it's based on. Miranda Priestly is based on Anna Wintour.
yeah,
And it's like Anna Wintour isn't the editor in chief of Vogue anymore. She is the probably basically whatever that job that they gave Miranda, the global chief, whatever, some honorary title
yeah,
to be like, thank you for your service, please leave.
yeah,
Like that's what she is now. And the person who took over for her is, I think, is it Candice Bergen's daughter? It's some famous actress's
yeah,
child. She's a grown woman, but you know what I mean. Like, so if that job is what Anna Winter used to have, then wouldn't Nigel have that job, and then she would have the job of the global editor,
yeah,
and then I don't think you would be. Maybe you would still be working in the building, but you still wouldn't have your same office. You probably would be somewhere else because that would be the editor in chief of
yeah,
Runway's
and
office
your
technically.
and your I guess what Anne Hathaway is a features editor wouldn't be
Yeah,
reporting to the global like head,
right.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's just I don't know. I feel like they tried to maybe mirror what was going on in Vogue and
mm,
whatever. But the thing is that like I don't know. I never felt. I think the sympathy I had for the character of Miranda Priestley was that underneath all of the stuff that she was doing, she was also a person who had to make a lot of sacrifices to be able to be in that position.
yeah,
And obviously, because of misogyny, she was not treated well, and she was even at that age was still being called what the Ice Queen or whatever, the
yeah,
Dragon Lady. People were still like making comments about her. So she had to like push against all that adversity to be powerful. However, there wasn't I didn't see her necessarily as a sympathetic character. I felt like she was a person who was really there just to like be in direct contrast to Andy of like what she could become in the path that she could have chose,
yeah,
but chose to do something different. Like she was like a lesson, not necessarily a person who I was like feeling deep feelings for or rooting for. I think they tried to change that in this one where they gave her like more like we got to go to her Hamptons house and she's like excited about her promotion and she like wants to like continue the magazine and like I mean because Meryl Streep is a great actress, like you
yeah,
feel more for her, but like I don't know because I'm like, well, the issue with the patriarchy situation is that you can't try to like out do the system where it's like, well, it's fine if women are on top. Like that's not the issue is that it's everything is still unequal,
yeah.
right? And like that's a problem. And that's never I mean, they probably was not gonna, they were not gonna get into that in this movie. But I just feel like that's the reason why I don't have like sympathy for her character. It's the reason why I don't care about Anna Wintour. Like I'm you know what I'm saying? Like that woman was deeply problematic, the way that the black people were treated who worked around her, the way that black people were shot on her covers, like not a great lady. Okay,
Yeah.
she let a whole lot of stuff slide. She co-signed a whole bunch of mess and controversy. So I'm not, I don't really care what happens to her.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, she's still fine. Like she still has this amazing job. She still has money. She still has influence. She still has respect. Like why should we care? And I feel like the thing that underpins this movie, if you're trying to think about it deeply, I know people aren't, and that's fine. If
Yeah.
you really want to go and have fun, please do. Like, I don't want to
But
like
the movie
poo-poo
wants you
the
to think
movie.
about it deeply as well, though. So that's the thing.
Yeah, I know. It's just that like at the end of the day, art is important. Fashion is important because fashion is expression and it's storytelling, and all of that interlinks with music and acting and all this other stuff. Like all of it's connected. It's just
Mhm.
that like there is this capitalist component to it, right? Where it's like they're having they have these conversations about like they're cutting budgets. We can't like do the shoots that we used to do where we used to have like unlimited accounts to go fly around the world and do these elaborate photo shoots. And we have to like you can't fly first class to Italy anymore. Now you got to sit and coach. And it's like, well, yeah. I guess my thing is like, well, what does that have to do with the art, right? Because it's more just like the designers are still being able I think it's like it's affecting everything because it affects the designers' abilities to like make quality
Mhm.
garments and stuff like and that's totally fine. But we're not seeing it from their perspective. We're seeing it from the corporate perspective. We're seeing it from the people who run the magazine that kind of filters all of their clothing, all of their collections through.
Mhm.
So it's not just about protecting artists. It's like well, we have to have this amazing fashion show and Lady Gaga has to perform. And like, oh, the fact that we can't have a private car service is just like another example of how like the billionaires are like coming in and cutting our budget. Like, it's just, I don't know, it just feels like, I don't know, adverse messaging where it's like, yeah, I get what you're saying, but at the same time that you're also promoting this other thing where it's like, if you work really hard, you will get to the top.
Yeah.
And it's like, well,
And
yeah, these are a bunch of white women who have like a whole bunch of opportunities, and then the Asian people are barely seen. Like, come on, like it kind of it's like trying to promote a message, but also by trying to do it, it's like undercutting it at the
undercuts
same
it.
time.
Yeah, and they do it twice because I remember at one point in the movie where Anne Hathaway and Emily Blunt's character there she's there for an interview. They're talking about how modern fashion and the middle class consumerism, where they're both on opposite ends of it. You'd think, okay, cool, Andy is still Andy. She's like understands stuff. But then you cut through the whole thing with her boyfriend where she's talking about losing her job
Mhm.
and she's like she kind of makes it about her. Deep down, it's about her. It's not about other people losing their job. It's about her losing her job because she already lost one job, and now she's like, okay, I was at a newspaper. I was making good articles. Now I'm back at Runway. I know Runway status within the magazine world, and I'm their features editor. That's me. I get to write an article every month, interview the best people in the world. That's me kind of thing, you know. And she hides it by the fact that her friends like, yo, write the expo like this unauthorized biography on Miranda because you know so much about her. She's like, no, I would never do that. She's such a important woman in my life, and blah blah blah. Because the movie also tries to make it seem as though as much as um Andy and Miranda clash, Andy still looks up to her, which we do kind of see. But then at the end, where they reveal Emily Blunt's character, her like, "Oh, we did this to save Runway, to save your job," and Miranda goes, "No, you didn't. You did it for yourself." And she goes, "No, I would never do that." But the movie then shifts to focus on no, no, I'm talking about Emily. She made it about her. She wants to take over my job. And ignoring the fact that Andy was also more concerned with her career. Like we sidestepped that. And now the whole mission goes to be us keeping Miranda at Runway. Instead of Emily being there running the fashion section and Andy still keeping her job, which was initially her main motivation, if we're being honest.
That is such a great point because that's exactly what her and this that's the thing is like Andy is supposed to be on this moral high ground, but it's like, girl, you're not. She's like she looks at Emily and her relationship with Justin Thoreau as like, oh, she's like messing with this billionaire to get whatever she wants. She's trying to take Miranda's job. And it's like, you are riding Miranda's coattails. Like the only reason like you are here is because you admire a woman who was like abusive to most of her employees and
Yeah,
like was calling you fat to your
yeah,
face
yeah.
multiple times.
Like
Like,
she even
what?
says to her friends when she first gets about, "Oh, they're paying me about 3 times more than I was getting paid in the newspaper." And guess what? If I'm features editor, I can bring you guys and you guys get hired too. And I'm like, yeah, let's do that.
Where were they?
Let's do that. And exactly where were they? The only other time we see one of her other friends was the one who works at the publishing house talking about the expose, and then the dude with the baseball cap who we meet again later, and he's talking about, "Oh, I love my job." I've not seen you in a single shot with her, at least doing a simple walk and talk, in on the floors of, of runway, or you in her office, and you leave silently. Like, even if you don't have a speaker, or at least be present in the scenes, none of that.
Yeah, it's like you're you're all kind of terrible. Like I don't know why
Yeah.
the movie tries to like. I
Make
mean,
Miranda the bad person.
yeah, and she's like, you know what? Oh, I make mistakes. I'm human, and it's like, yeah. The thing is that you're judging other people for doing basically the same thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
Like everyone here has compromised their values in order to get to the
And they know
position,
they have, and they've
and they
accepted
know
they
they and
have.
they've accepted it. Like that's the, to me honest, that should have been the point of the movie.
Yeah.
Was like everyone's kind of terrible, but we all know that we are. And listen, at least we're rich. Like that
Yeah.
kind of to me, it's like let's just get there quicker because I feel like y'all are you're trying to gaslight me with this. Like Andy's or Runway deserves to be like saved because aren't these billionaires awful? Like I don't know. It's just like let's just cut the crap here. Like that's kind of how I feel about that.
Yeah.
Um, because it just feels like so not. It just feels you're like I'm not dumb. Like I know what's going on here. Um, the last thing I will say is that the thing that I really disliked about this movie, well, one other thing is that they do a lot of callbacks to the first one, and I'm not a huge fan of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Florals for Spring is like the event Amanda goes to in the beginning. It's like, okay, like we know the iconic lines. Like we don't have to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but it's also the styling of the clothes. I have,
Pretentious. It's very pretentious.
it's not even that it's pretentious, it's just bad. Like the I guess my issue is like because the first one, it seemed like everyone had a very clear identity through their clothes. So like the fashion was very representative of like who they were. Even when Andy like starts to, change up her look and stuff when she gets more and more into the runway business, like
Mm-hmm.
it still feels like her kind of.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel like she's dressing in a way that like maybe she wouldn't have if she didn't have like she I mean she didn't know how to dress before, but like it did still feel like it was closer to her personality. Everyone had
Mm-hmm.
a very distinct look and the styling was really it really matched that.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone looked really good. Like when I watched the movie back, I'm like, yeah, those clothes hold up and the way that they're dressed holds up. This movie, and people were talking about this online, how all the fashion just looked cheap. Like it
Mm-hmm.
didn't look like quality clothes.
Yeah.
Now watching it, some of it does, but some of it doesn't. I think the person who gets dealt the worst is Emily because they had her in like Dior, but they had her in that like Dior logo. Like the
Mm-hmm.
logos were just everywhere. And I'm like, there are so many good Dior looks that you can pull. Like I'm so confused by why like we are dressing her in this way. This is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like she looks terrible. She looks bad. Like why did she look like that? Like there's so many great Dior looks and I'm like I don't understand who made these choices. Like I know who the costume designer is, but like the styling matters just as much as costume. And I just
Yeah.
feel like she was looking crazy this entire movie. Anne Hathaway was looking kind of messy. She had like one or two good looks.
I
They kept
mean,
putting her in ties. And I'm like,
when Anne is rocking like the
yeah,
pantsuit and the blazer that fits her character, and when they kind of put her
yeah,
other
that's
stuff, it
fine.
didn't work. Like,
Yeah, yeah. It's like, so I feel like Miranda looks more consistently good in terms of the styling and the clothing, but I just feel like everyone else kind of like I'm not gonna rattle off the designer because I don't know if anybody knows them, but like I'm just like there's so many great designers who we could have referenced and kind of pulled for
Mm.
just for these characters' looks.
Yeah.
And I feel like they were just like logos, logos, logos because that's what people know. And Emily says it in the movie. She's like, "Well, you have the big logo on it, so everybody knows that it's Dior." And it's
Yeah.
like, "Well, sure, but like that doesn't mean that it looks good. It
Yeah.
just means that we know who the brand of the
And then
bag is
and
from."
then
Like
at that point the logo becomes more important than the brand, you know.
and that is where fashion is at right
Yeah.
now, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I just like I don't like that they styled them that way. I just felt like these are people who like love fashion. Not Anne Hathaway
Yeah.
because she's not really interested in that. But like for Miranda and for Emily, I'm like these are people who live and breathe fashion, and
Yeah.
we're giving them. I don't know. It
Yeah.
that was hard to watch.
Yeah.
I'm like, why y'all have Anne Hathaway in the
Yeah.
Ross dress and the rainbow shoes? Like, we
Yeah.
need to stop this.
Yeah.
You have
I,
a big budget. Like, what's going
I do think they also could have probably hit on like more on like what I mentioned before, modern fashion and middle class being priced out, and you know their fight against because these are big established brands, or also a lot of them have been in trouble before from stealing designs and looks from black designers and stuff, stealing their stuff. They could have also had issues they have facing brands like Shein, Boohoo, which are fast fashion, which emulate those brands to help it trickle into the lower end consumers. But because fast fashion happens so quickly, you have massive environmental issues because they're burning through resources, and those once that shirt comes out of season, it's no longer nobody wants it. Whereas the high end brands, you wear the capsule collection for like a year and it becomes archival, it becomes valuable. But with fast fashion, oh, no one, everybody wore it last week, we're wearing something else this week, so you throw it away, and it's this endless cycle of consumers. And they could also hit on that. There are a lot of things that could have hit on in this movie in the world of fashion, and classism and stuff like that that they hit on. Like I said initially, like I feel like this story is just attached to the Devils of Prada IP to get it done. Like it really could have been a different story if the crux of the story is, you know, journalists losing their jobs and tech pros taking over and trying to rip it apart. It could have fit in any other medium.
Yeah. There are just things about this where I'm like, it's
Especially
not,
if, like you said,
I
they
don't
were
know.
underutilized Lucy Lou's character. They pops in once and then pops at the end at the same day.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I like, although I enjoyed watching it because it was just like, a nice experience, I just don't, I feel like there are so many things that kind of underpin this movie that you can't really get into because the point of it is that Runway is good. It's doing a good thing. It's providing a good service by kind of uplifting fashion and uplifting designers. So we have to kind of keep it on that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you try to like go in deeper about what all this means about kind of the state of the fashion industry, I think one of the interesting things is that like Anne Hathaway was talking about how they wanted different bodies and bigger bodies on screen because fashion is notoriously, you have to be very, very, very thin to at
Mm-hmm.
least wear the clothes the way they're supposed to be worn according to these people. Um, but then I don't know, we saw like maybe two plus size people on there. And
Just
plus size is not really, I mean, I don't
just
even know what that
I
means.
think it was just Caleb Heron as Miranda's second assistant, which is also funny. You're allowed to be a bigger person when you're a white queer man,
Yeah,
but
isn't that interesting?
everybody else can't be viewed that way.
Hmm,
Hey,
that's
yeah,
interesting. Yeah, we noticed it.
yeah. I'll be noticing.
Um,
I'll be noticing.
yeah,
That's me. I just don't say anything, but I notice.
yeah.
So
It's interesting. Yeah, I think and
yeah.
and like Ashley Graham, there was like maybe one plus size model. Like I just feel like the fashion industry is there's a lot of issues there, and it's been issues for so many years that I feel like there was actually a different story that you could have told, but it couldn't. I don't think it could match. It could have been with the Devil Wears Prada because that's not what this is about. It's not about really critiquing the fashion industry. It's more about critiquing the systems of people trying to buy up these things things and oppress these visionaries and take over companies and that.
Yeah.
It's not really about like, let's get into like why the fashion industry is so deeply flawed, like, and also maybe highlight people who are trying to change it. Where were the Black designers? Like, I don't know. It just feels like something that was actually made close to the time that they made the first one, just repackaged with some words of don't say this and that's toxic and you can't say that thrown, and then like, I don't know, put some, basically the logos and all that other stuff, throw that in there. Oh, I know that bag, I know that celebrity, that's Amanda whatever her last name is, who does Chicken Shop Date. Like, I know her, she's in the movie too. Like, it's just like, it feels like fast fashion, honestly. It feels like something that you just like, that looks good in the moment, but then when you wash it, it's completely disfigured and you can't even wear it anymore. That's kind of what this movie feels like to me. It's definitely not the first one, because I feel like the first one at least owned the fact that this industry was toxic and these people are terrible people. Like, I just feel like they owned it more back in those days. Now it's just like, well, let's just pretend like that didn't happen. Everyone's fine now. Look, Miranda invited Anne to her Hamptons house. So, and look, a woman saved the entire, magazine.
Yeah.
Isn't that great? Don't you feel good? Lady Gaga sang.
Yeah, especially considering the initial sequel of the first book, has Andy and Emily as business partners and all this other stuff. Like this sequel is totally like off the rails from the original sequel the author wrote. So
yeah, and according to someone who actually read the book, who I like watched her conversation about this, that book wasn't good. It's just that the premise was, so they took it and made it into a film.
Yeah.
And I just don't. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this one. I felt that way when I left the theater too. I was like, I know this movie's gonna make a lot of money, which it did. It's top in the box office. And I know people are really excited because my theater was packed. So like, I know people were gonna come out and see this movie and like enjoy it, but I just feel like, again, it's like a kind of a nothing burger, and it's definitely nothing close to the first one. Like, it's not even in the same ballpark as the first one, considered, like, as far as I see it.
Yeah.
Okay, that is it from us this week. We hope that you're all doing well and taking care of yourselves. Make sure to check out all of our social media, support us if you can, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye.
Au revoir.